Let's have a look at the magazine. I brought it from Paris. I want to show you a dress. Here it is. Have a close look at it. The round neckline is edged with a black detail. The neckline is pretty tight, but I'll make it a bit deeper. I will make a dress of this design, but I'll adjust it to my measurements. There's also a black insert in between the bodice and the sleeves. The edges of the sleeves and the bottom of the dress are also black. The dress is sheathed. It's neither fitted nor loose. The dress is historical. This design was created in 1967. I would like to make several dresses of Yves Saint Laurent style. I can put the magazine aside. I have a sketch of this dress. Have a look at it. I'd like to make the neckline a bit deeper. I'll also insert a placket in it, just like in the original dress. I also want to make the sleeves slightly puffed. They will be raised for about 2 centimeters. These tiny details will make the dress look very modern. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm sure that a dress of such design will fit well any figure. As for the women of big sizes, the upper part would look not so huge due to the combination of colors. You'll see it when I try the dress on. It will also fit the slim women well. Let's start working on the pattern. This is my basic pattern. The front, the back and the sleeve. There will be 3/4 sleeves in the dress. It's my favorite length. I can't bear long sleeves. The dress will be decorated with colored inserts on the sleeve bottom, the neckline, between the bodice and the sleeves, and at the bottom of the dress. The dress is going to be slightly loose. I can move the sleeve pattern aside. I'll be working with the bodice first. Have a look at the modeling fabrics. Green and yellow. Green for the dress and yellow for the inserts. Have a look at the pattern. These are the front and the back. First, I need to draw a side seam. I'm not going to make a dress close-fitting up from the waistline. It will be straight. Watch the way I'm drawing the line. The pattern is slightly tighter at the waist. I shouldn't change that. When I cut the pattern, I'll show you the details. I also want to make the dress slightly tighter at the bottom. I'll make both the front and the back about 1.5 centimeters tighter. Have a close look here. My pattern is slightly tighter here because my bust is bigger than my hips. Your patterns might look different. Pay attention to the peculiarities of your own bodies and make the patterns according to them. I've decided to make the dress a bit tighter at the bottom. You can make it straight. I'm cutting the pattern, and you can see how the dress is going to look like. As I've said, your dresses might look different. The length of my dress is 105 centimeters. This is my favorite length. From the shoulder top to the bottom, 105 centimeters. You can see that the dress was made slightly tighter at the bottom. I also remind you that my hips are smaller than the bust. This is why my pattern looks this way. You can make inseam pockets here if you want. Next, I need to move the opening of the chest dart to the side seam. I'll make the dart slightly biased. You can make it horizontal if you want to. I'll show you how to make a pattern for this dress in detail. The more dresses I show you, the more ways to be different and beautiful you have. I don't change anything, I just move the opening of the chest dart. Let's have a look at the neckline next. When the necklines are ready, we'll have a look at the armholes. You should follow the order of actions. Do everything just like I show you. Do not forget to cut an extra piece from the shoulder after moving the opening of the chest dart. This is a must. The shoulder should be beautiful. Do not forget to do it. This is where the opening of the chest dart is now. This is how the side seam looks like. Next, I need to move an opening of the shoulder dart to the back neckline. When I move the opening, I'll check if the shoulders are even. This is where the opening of the dart is now. I remind you that shoulder darts make these parts fit us perfectly. I recommend you making shoulder darts. Do not ignore them. Next, we need to join the shoulders to see if they're even. Have a look at them. There's something to be changed here. I'll cut about 3 millimeters here. This tiny piece does make the difference. Be very attentive. Let's have a look at the shoulders once again. Perfect. Next, I want to make the shoulders about 3 centimeters tighter. Be very attentive, please. I'm going to cut a part of the shoulder dart. It's okay. By cutting these details, I'm not only making the shoulders tighter, but also the necklines deeper. Let's have a look at the shoulders once again. They match. Let's continue working with the pattern. What should we do next? I want to raise the shoulder top for about 2.5 centimeters. These are not semi-raglan sleeves. These are regular sleeves with the raised shoulder tops. Next, I need to draw beautiful smooth lines here. Watch the way I'm doing it. Do not make them round. The line should be smooth. Start drawing from these points and go up to the shoulders. I've already showed you how to mix your shoulders a lot of times. This is the front and this is the back. I'm going to cut these details. This is how the shoulders are going to look like. There will be a decorative placket attached here. I'll draw it later. The first detail is cut. This is the front. The front and the back are ready. The only thing I need to do is to draw the plackets on the neckline. How to make a pattern for the sleeve? I don't want the sleeve to be too tight. It's 29 centimeters wide at the bottom. It's 46 centimeters long. I remind you that these are 3/4 sleeves. Have a look here. The width of the sleeve is 29 centimeters. This is how the sleeve is going to look like. It's not too tight, but it's not too wide either. The sleeves are going to be comfortable. They won't hold my movement. If you use stretchy fabric, you can make the sleeves tighter. First, I need to fold the sleeve pattern in half. The center sleeve is already marked here. As usual, I need to make a dot in the center sleeve. Notice that I'm not drawing a line with the ruler. It's slightly round. You should always cut the darts when you make raglan, semi-raglan, or raised sleeves. There shouldn't be any fitting ease in the sleeve head for such sleeves. This is the cut detail. Next, I need to attach these details to the sleeve. This is the back detail. It should be attached to the back part of the sleeve. I'll sign the detail. The front, the back. The cut dart can be thrown away. This is the back detail. I remind you how these details should be attached. Don't attach them this way or that. The openings should be even. This is very important. These are the openings I'm talking about. Be very attentive, please. Так. I'll attach it this way. Perfect. Next, I need to attach the second detail absolutely the same way. I remind you that these details were cut from the armholes. These parts should match. Be very careful and attentive. I'm not going to make a new pattern now. I just want to remind you that we need to smooth the corners when cutting the details according to these patterns. Have a look here. We're cutting the sleeve. Do not make an angle here. Make smooth, beautiful lines. The sleeve pattern is ready. I can move it aside. Let's have a look at the back and the front. I need to draw the decorative plackets. They will be made of yellow fabric. I need to draw a placket on the neckline and on the sleeves. These details do not double the main fabric. They are part of the dress. The shoulders are not wide, 7.5 centimeters. I need to make 2 inserts here. The shoulders are 7.5 centimeters wide, so the insert will be 2.5 centimeters wide. This part is going to be green. It will be pretty tight. This is the detail I'm talking about. It's okay. It's also tight in the sketch. This part will be made of green fabric. I also need to mark 2.5 centimeters on the neckline. I need to do it circle-wise. This is the center front. It's very important to sign the details. There will be a fold here. The first placket detail is drawn. What about the shoulder dart? We need to decide what to do with it. I also need to sign the center back. Have a look at what I'm doing. I don't recommend you making white plackets. They wouldn't look that good. I need to close the opening of the dart. Close it in such way that the line is smooth and round. Be very attentive. Do not ever close the opening this way. It wouldn't look good. This is how the placket is going to look like. Next, I need to cut the placket from the front. Не доходит. И посмотрите, какая красивая получилась на закрытой выточке вот эта планка у нас. Сейчас мы отрежем отсюда планку. Какая благодарность. I love working with dresses. Наконец мы до них дошли. Центр спины. Видите, I've cut the back detail. Have a look at the shoulder dart. There's just a small part of it left here. I'll write it down that this part should be shaped when being ironed. This is a pretty complicated process. Now you know what to do with the shoulder dart in this case. The front and the back are ready. The plackets are going to be attached to the necklines. Have a look here. You can see that I haven't get rid of the shoulder dart. Its opening just was moved. Anyway, it will make the back part of the dress fit the body perfectly. This is a very useful technique. Next, I need to draw these plackets. It's not hard to do it. They are also 2.5 centimeters wide. Measure and mark 2.5 centimeters circle-wise. Two by 5 centimeters. Next, I need to draw a line from these points. These details will be cut. We'll stitch them to the bodice. You can top stitch them if you want to. I'll sign that this is the front detail. As for the inserts on the sleeves and the bottom, they will be 6 centimeters wide. I'll make them off the camera. There is no need for me to show you how to make them. Be very attentive. These details should match. This is the side seam. I can cut the details now. You should be very accurate when working with the seam allowance. If you make mistakes, you won't be able to fix them. My dress is going to be green with yellow inserts. You can make it black and white, or pink and gray. Choose any colors you like. Be creative. I want you to learn to use your imagination. I want us to be different and beautiful every day.
А сейчас на людей глядя, не сильно-то порадуешься, потому что никто не хочет радоваться. Все чем-то недовольны.
I want you to be happy. And I want you to be able to make the people around you happy as well. You can do it. You just need to be creative. Let's have a look at the sleeve once again.
Готов.
The pattern for the dress is ready. Of course, you can change the design however you like. Make inserts only on the neckline, or only between the sleeves and the bodice. I like the original design. I don't want to change it. There will be inserts on the neckline, between the bodice and the sleeves, the bottom, and the sleeves. This design was created by a brilliant fashion designer. Why don't we use his idea? I'm sure that this design is timeless. I've been to the Yves Saint Laurent Museum in Paris. Almost all of the designs exhibited in the museum look very modern. You can wear any of these dresses today, and you look stylish and modern. What do you think about this design? It is a slightly loose sheath dress with inserts on the neckline, armholes, and on the bottom of the sleeves and the dress itself. There will be seams on the center back, 2 side seams, and 2 chest darts. There are no other seams except for those stitching the decorative details to the dress. I have already pinned the decorative details to the fabric. I've also drawn a decorative detail for the bottom of the sleeves, and later we'll cut a detail for the bottom of the dress itself. Today I'd like to show you how to cut the dress. In the next video, I'll show you how to take it, and then I'll try it on. I want you to see how the dress is going to look like. These are the decorative details. Here are the front, the back, and the sleeve. I'll cut them later. First, I'll cut the inserts. When it's done, I'll ask one of the tailors of my fashion house to double them with the interfacing material. Let's get down to work. Have a closer here. This is the neckline detail. Here's the center front. Make sure that the center front is pinned right on the lengthwise grain. This is very important. If you make a mistake, the detail will be spoiled. The width of the seam allowance is 7 mm. You should add the same seam allowance both to the front and the back. Don't add 1 centimeter. It would be too much. Be very careful. Each of the decorative details should be doubled with the interfacing material. Remember that you'll need 2 pieces of every detail. One should be attached to the right side of the dress and the other to the wrong side. This is the shoulder seam. This is why I've added 1 centimeter here. The insert for the front neckline is ready. Next, I need to cut the insert for the back neckline. The width of the seam allowance is 7 mm as well. I'll add 1 centimeter to the center back. I'll also add 1 centimeter to the main details. Be very attentive, please, when working with the seam allowance. It's very important. The design seems to be simple, but now you know that it's not that easy to sew this dress because of the inserts. As I've said, the seam allowance on the shoulder is 1 centimeter. This is the shoulder seam. The inserts for the neckline are ready. Next, I need to cut the inserts for the sleeves. 1 centimeter seam allowance to the side seams, and 7 mm here. I don't like big seam allowances. I'm sure that 7 mm are enough. Such details would look very neat. People often ask me, why don't I make 1 centimeter wide seam allowances? When I was learning to sew, we were told to add 1 centimeter to each detail. You know that I don't do it anymore. I'll tell you a story. I got an amazing gift for the graduation from school. I got a suit. I loved it. You know what was the first thing I did? I ripped the seams in the lining open. I wanted to have a close look at the wrong side of the jacket. The seams in it were 7 millimeters wide. This is when I've decided that I will always make 7 millimeter wide seams. I'm cutting the second decorative detail for the sleeves. 1 centimeter seam allowance to the side seam and 7 millimeters to the round part of the detail. When new tailors come to work to my fashion house, the first thing I ask them is whether they can cut the seam allowances by side. I want everyone to learn to cut 5 7 millimeter wide seam allowances, 1 and 2 centimeter wide seams by side. Take a piece of fabric and cut it by side. 5 millimeters, 7 millimeters, 1 centimeter. When you learn to do it, you'll be able to sew amazing high-quality garments. Next, I need to cut the details for the bottom of the sleeves. They are 5 by 5 centimeters wide. You can make them as wide as you want. I can move this piece of fabric aside and the sketch as well. What should we do next? Apply the detail to the sleeve and check if it's accurate. Do not forget to do it. You know what? I haven't added anything for the seam allowance. You should do it. Do not forget about that.
Ткань макетная, ладно, а вы так не ошибайтесь, как я сейчас. Вот здесь должно было быть вот так вот, потому что я здесь буду прибавлять.
The detail should be wider. It's okay, I'm making just a mock-up. You should be more attentive than I am. Next, I'll ask Natalie to double these details with the interfacing material. The yellow details are ready. Next, I'm going to cut the main details of the dress. The front, the back, and the sleeves. Let's have a look at the sleeve first. Do not forget to smooth the corners on the sleeve head. The lines should be smooth and beautiful. Have a close look at the dot in the sleeve head. I'll show you how to cut it accurately. There's something to pay attention to. These are the points I'm talking about. I recommend you adding about 3 or 4 millimeters here. The additional ease will let the sleeve fit better on the shoulder. It's not clearly seen here, but I'll show you everything when I start cutting the details. Such tiny addition make a big difference. The sleeves would fit you much better in this case. If you don't add anything, the sleeves might be too tight. Don't add too much, just 3 or 4 millimeters. The sleeves will be more smooth and beautiful in this case. This is very important. Let's start cutting. The seam allowance on the neckline is 7 millimeters. I've also added 7 millimeters to the inserts. 7 millimeters to the armhole,
Вот это
1 centimeter to the shoulder seam.
помним. Очень аккуратно.
Be very attentive when working with the seam allowance.
Если вы аккуратно поработаете, потом
You should be very accurate.
мне в боку точно хватает сантиметр. Кто-то. Ну вот
The seam allowance on the side seam is 1 centimeter in my case. It's enough for me.
ну, примерно вот
You can add 2 centimeters if you want to.
вот, примерно середина. Я
This is the center of the dart.
от этого заболит голова.
One centimeter seam allowance to the side seam.
Я хочу, чтобы вы
I want you to understand
что платье
that your dresses don't have to be absolutely the same.
грудная, пройма по базовой
The fact that there are chest and waist tucks in the basic pattern doesn't mean that you have to make waist tucks and chest darts in all the dresses you make. Be creative. Change the designs however you like.
Вот так вот у меня сантиметр. Сейчас моя задача
Do not forget to mark the waistline.
всё собрать. Смотрите, вот линия талии.
I've cut the front.
Очень
Have a close look at the chest dart.
чётко. Вопросы, что делать, если она большая? Ничего не делать. Можно и
When sewing garments of stretchy fabrics, such as jersey for example,
для тянущейся ткани
you can move a part of the opening to the armhole for example,
уменьшить и укоротить
or you can just make it a bit
в
tighter.
каком-то более рубашечном стиле, каком-то более таком фасоне.
In this case,
Модели более
it's necessary to save the chest dart.
где, как сейчас. Вот такой раз.
Don't make it shorter.
Если я укорочу,
If you do it,
в груди будет,
this part will be baggy.
и он у всех у вас будет, если вы так будете делать. Пока я
The
уберу,
front is ready, so I can move it aside.
у меня готово. Начинаю
Next, I need to cut the sleeve.
спинку. Будьте
Be very attentive, please. The seam allowance in the underarm seam is 1 centimeter. You know what?
почему-то, знаете,
Even though I'm making a dress of modeling fabric,
и носить это платье
I think that I'll be able to wear it.
в ткани.
I like the colors. What do you think? Have a close look here. I need to add 7 millimeter seam allowance to the drawn lines. The dart is going to be stitched according to the drawn lines.
0707.
This is where it should end. Do not forget to mark it.
Смотрим, что у нас
Let's have a look at the sleeve.
вот это у нас.
Do not forget to mark the front. Do it in the bold details.
Вот это у нас.
I also need to mark the point where the dart should be stopped stitching. This is very important.
И, пожалуйста, мы уже
The sleeves are ready.
собирать. Я вот специально вот
I show you the cutting in detail for you not to have any questions left.
где этого не покажет. Так,
Next, I need to cut the back.
полочка готова.
When it's done, I'll start taking the dress.
И приступаем.
I can't wait to do it.
Плечо, сантиметр.
7 millimeters to the neckline, 1 centimeter to the shoulder.
Помним, что вот это место
Do not forget that these parts should be shaped with an iron. One centimeter to the side seam. I know that some ladies have very tight waists. Such loose dresses are not always suitable for them.
я сейчас очень много
In my case, this design is perfect.
они как будто
You know that my body is pretty perfect. It's square.
ну я мало знаю, кто любит вот
Do not forget to mark the waistline in the details. All the details are cut. I've tacked the center back seam and the chest darts off the
в
camera.
конце мы Наташа уже
I'm going to show you the taking of the decorative details.
полочки.
I want you to see everything clearly.
Вы видели, как это делается.
Natalie has already doubled the details with the interfacing material. First, I need to join the center front and the center front in the insert and the main detail.
А тут прямо
Be very careful.
вот видите,
I also need to pin the shoulders.
и вот так потихонечку выкладываем.
When it's done, pin the rest of the detail.
Проверяйте.
Make sure that you don't stretch or gather the fabric.
Вот, проверяйте, все хорошо. И тогда
The details should be pinned evenly.
так серьезно. Сейчас я приметаю одну деталь.
I need to tack the details to the necklines, to the armholes.
Ставьте к этим деталям, которые к пройме, еще будут с другой
Do not forget that the details in the armholes should be tacked both to the main details and the sleeves.
бурю фантазии. Думаю, что
I'm sure that this design will encourage you,
свой.
and you'll get a lot of new ideas.
Сразу множество идей. Ноль семь.
The width of the seam is 7 millimeters.
И когда
Make very small stitches when taking the details.
кружочки должны
Do not stretch the fabric.
аккуратненько проверяйте.
I want you to be very careful and attentive. Don't make mistakes.
Оказалось одного или другого больше.
Check if the details are accurate.
Всё сверяем.
The more accurate you are when cutting the details, the less problems you have with them when taken.
Очень
I
хорошо.
love new Chanel collection.
Из последних коллекций.
I'll probably try to sew some design from it.
Интересные. Ну, конечно,
Of course, something I can wear.
что мы точно будем
They make a lot of exclusive designs for the very special occasions.
не нужно.
I've tacked the insert to the front neckline. I don't want to iron the dress for the fitting, so it's better to tack the seam to one of the sides. I'll show you how to do it. All the other decorative details will be tacked the same way. Have a look here. For me to see how the dress is actually going to fit me, I need to tack the seam allowance to one of the sides. Taking the seam to one of the sides makes the dress fit me better. Have a look here. Now you know how to tack the details for the fitting. This is a very useful technique. Have a look here. I've tacked the decorative details off the camera. I've also tacked the seams in them to one of the sides. I didn't want to iron the dress for the fitting. Natalie will tack the front and the back details together off the camera. I'll show you how to tack the sleeves. Have a close look here. First, I need to tack the dart. As I've already said, we need to be very careful when doing it. Notice that the top part of the dart isn't even cut, but it should be tacked. This part should be very tight. I'll show you how to do it. Notice that I'm making the first stitch right at the dart top. Start taking from the dart top and increase the seam allowance gradually. Have a close look at the dart. The line is slightly round. I remind you that I've added several millimeters here when cutting the details. This is why the dart is of an accurate shape. Take it right the way it is. Do not change the shape of the seam. Have a close look at the tack dart. The line is accurate. It's perfect. Due to the fact that I've tacked the dart accurately, it will fit my shoulder perfectly. I also want to tack the seam allowance to the wrong side of the detail. In this case, the sleeve will fit me much better at the fitting. I should note that high-quality fabrics keep their form better. To tell the truth, this is just modern fabric. It's pretty cheap. Have a look at the shape of the sleeve head. Very nice. I'll tack the second sleeve off the camera. Have a close look here. I've already inserted one of the sleeves in the dress. Next, I'll show you how to insert the second one. First, join the shoulder dart to the shoulder seam. When I insert the sleeve, I'll try the dress on. Pin the details accurately.
Переворачиваю рукавом к себе. Вот у меня пройма, вот у меня рукав внутри.
The armhole should be tacked from the sleeve side.
Вот у меня рукав рукав внутри, но я в
Have a close look here. The sleeve is inside of the armhole now, but I'm going to tack the details, sleeve side up. The width of the seam is 7 millimeters. I can remove the pin now.
И вот первая часть рукава верхняя.
Watch the way I'm taking the sleeve. We didn't gather the sleeve with the thread.
Складывать его и сшивать.
I should ease the sleeve cap into the armhole. Watch what I'm doing very attentively.
Что-то у меня сегодня все.
I can't wait to try the dress
О,
on.
боже мой, наверное, Венера в черной луне. Или Луна в черной Венере. Или Луна и Венера где-то не там, где надо. Я маленькими стежками, но
Make very small stitches.
собираю рукав.
Notice that I'm gathering the sleeve head slightly.
Собирали или нет, я сейчас покажу.
It should be done for the sleeve to fit my shoulders perfectly.
И вот примерно так полрукава.
This is how the sleeve should be inserted in the armhole.
Рукой припосаживаю рукав. И шью
Make very small stitches and slightly gather the sleeve head.
Вот видите, немножечко вот так припосаживаю. Если вы все правильно сделали,
If you cut the details accurately, you won't have any problems when taking them.
внутрь, вы увидите, как
Have a close look here.
край. Вот в этой
You can see that this part of the sleeve is slightly gathered now.
Вот видите, вот так.
This is how the sleeves should be tacked.
Очень хорошо покажу.
This is the only way to do it accurately.
Никаких сборок как бы нету, но когда смотришь из
There will be no gathers on the right side,
очень классно.
but the sleeve should be tacked and stitched this way.
Сейчас точно так же я вот эту вторую часть
Next, I need to tack the other side absolutely the same way.
пришиваю.
I'm taking the sleeve side up.
Ко мне. Вот я его вижу.
Gather the sleeve head just slightly.
Немножечко
The width of the seam is 7 millimeters.
приметывание 0,7, больше мы нельзя, мы 0,7 закладывали.
The technique is absolutely the same.
Точно так же мы
When inserting regular sleeves, you should gather the sleeve head first with the thread. As for the raised sleeves, you should always tack them this way.
Вообще надо уметь, конечно,
I want you to learn the most important sewing techniques. This is what I'm here for.
на ниточку не собираются. Еще немного.
I need to tack about the half of the sleeve.
Примерно полрукава. Потом
That's it.
возвращаю,
Next,
закрепляю,
I need to have a close look at the lower part of the armhole.
что у нас получилось снизу. Пройма, нижняя часть. Вот,
This is how the armhole looks like now.
вот наши булавочки. А теперь мы должны
Have a close look at the sleeve.
вот так вот выложить, вот так вот. рукав.
Hold the fabric this way
Вот сейчас ляг,
and pin the details the way they are.
ничего не надо, рукав сюда
Don't try to gather or stretch the fabric.
дать ему лечь так.
Don't try to change anything.
Когда вы вот так вот, у вас вот эти 8 пальцев вот там.
Don't try to join the
вот
edges.
так вот выкладываете,
Don't
он
try
сам
to join the seams.
так. И это правильно.
If they do match, it's just a coincidence.
Одинаково.
If you tack the sleeves the way they are, they will fit you perfectly.
Отлично.
Very nice.
А теперь ниже.
I can tack this part now.
Мы
When I
сейчас
finish
наденем
taking, I'll try the dress on.
и увидим, что все правильно.
I need to make the last couple of stitches. I can't wait to try the dress on. I'm sure that it would look absolutely amazing.
Платье
The dress is tacked.
примерки. Вот.
I can try it on now.
Лоран, мне кажется, очень даже все хорошо. Сейчас я одену на себя и вам покажу. Вот. Метали мы, метали, метали мы.
Have a look at me. I'm wearing the tacked dress.
На примерке платье на мне.
I remind you that the dress hasn't even been ironed yet.
Отсуживать, отстрачивать, оттягивать, все бы оно тут еще.
When it's done, it will look much better.
Хорошо.
Anyway, this is just the first
Вот
fitting.
смотрите. Очень
And I
люблю
think
эту
that the dress looks nice this way.
Видите, как не то чтобы
I love the design.
бочонок шел бы у нас вот тут на расширение.
The dress is not baggy.
Ровненько, ровненько.
It's straight up from the hip
И
line,
смотрите, какой
and it gets tighter down to the bottom.
широковато, а ты весь такой
The dress is slightly loose, but it fits me well.
И это очень классно, потому что, ну зачем всем все показывать прям.
I love the design. I've made some changes to the original one.
Можем вот такие платья себе сделать в стиле Yves Saint Laurent.
I've decided that the raised sleeves would look much better in this case.
Изменила плечо, потому что сделала вот это плечо.
I think that they make the dress look much more modern.
И я хочу, конечно, чтобы у вас получались подобные платья.
I hope that you like the design.
Модель
I'm sure that it fits well any figure.
очень подробно показала именно
Try sewing such dresses.
сборки.
It's not as hard as it seems.
Немножечко на пару часов лишняя работа вот с этой планкой.
These small details make the dress look very unusual.
И даже непонятно, что это такое, или какая-то маечка.
Let's be different and beautiful every day.
На самом деле,
Don't be afraid of anything.
я всем желаю успехов.
Remember that practice makes perfect.
Разными любимыми путями.
That's all for today.
Ставьте лайки.
My name is Irina Paukshte. Buy my courses, subscribe to my channel, write comments, share the videos, press the like and the bell buttons. I would really appreciate your support. Thank you. Goodbye.
И идеи великого модельера.